Hello good people, how is it going? Astonation here. On the episode today, I want us to look at something, how to properly diagnose a car, how to fully do a complete system scan. So this comes from a few concerns I've seen. Your car throws a check engine light, or your car throws a fault code on your dashboard and you don't know what to do about it. Should you post on a Facebook page? Should you post in a Facebook group to have people help you about it, or what should you do? In my opinion, when this comes up, you first of all need to call your mechanic or your technician, tell them about it. If it's something they know offhand, they will be able to advise you how dangerous it could be to your car. If not, then you need to visit them, and then they need to do a complete system scan of all the modules, or just a direct scan to the offending item. So for that matter, if you're doing it yourself, then you need to have a professional diagnostic kit. If your technician or your mechanic is doing it, they also need to have the same. So for the subject today, I am going to use this VW Passat that has had some work done to the engine. So nearly all the sockets and sensors had been disconnected. The wiring had been looked at, so all the interior electronics, including the doors and the switches for the doors, for the windows, had also been disconnected, and things worked on. So after everything had been reconnected back, check engine light popped, and yeah, we need to find out why the check engine light is on, what is offending the system. So today I'm going to use this kit here. This is Launch X31 Proffessional tool to do a scan and show you how a full system scan is done. So welcome. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe, make sure you click on the bell icon. So guys, I'll quickly start the car here just to show you the faults or the error codes, not really, the check engine light. Yeah, so as you notice, all other lights check out and then they go off, and they go off, and then the check engine light remains on. So yeah, we need to find out what's happening with it. So I'll just switch off the car, and then we'll get to the diagnosis process. So I'll switch the ignition back on. The ignition has to be on for all the modules to be powered, for them to be found. So I'll just switch that on and leave it on, and then we'll move back to our diagnostic kit over here. I don't know whether you can see. We'll get into the app. This is the application or the software for diagnostic. Yeah, so this tool has diagnostic software that works on nearly all car models that are on the market since 1996 up to 2020. So it's pretty up to date, and it's also updated online. So for the VW, what you can do here is you can see these are the American models that are here: Cadillac, Buick, Chrysler, Chevy, Dodge, and all that. And then we have the European models here. So we have the Audis, we have Alfa Romeo, Abarth. For those who don't know Abarth is some cars that were made by Fiat and sometimes Alfa Romeo, but it was really like a tuning company, but then ended up working on some cars. So the Bentleys, the Audis, Dacia, some people will call it Dacia, the European Ford, including Ferrari and Lamborghini, Maybach, which is just Mercedes, it's just like VW and Audi, Mini, Peugeot, and all that. So for our case, we will scroll down and get to VW. Our ignition is still on, just to make sure that everything is powered. So we will still stick to VW. Okay. checking into the systems, just trying to establish contact and communication to the modules. Yeah, we'll just give it a few when it establishes. So what happens here, we have two types of scans. So if you have a check engine light like we do, you can directly go into the system selection here. Two options: you can either do a full health report, which is a full system scan, or you can do a direct module scan. Like for the sake of this, we can just go directly into the ECU. So an example is we would go to system selection and either choose brake control, transmission control, steering, or engine, depending on where our error code is coming from. So for our sake, we are doing a full system scan, all the modules. So we will go back, we will scroll back here, and we will pick health report, so that we get a reading from all the systems that we have on this car. Having that, I mentioned a lot of work had been done under the bonnet, so nearly all the sockets and all the sensors were out, as well as in here all the door cards had been undone, all the window winder, motors, and all that. So we just need to do a full system scan and understand what unit is offended and why, and then make sure that everything is covered. So this kit goes deep into the systems, scans all the modules one by one, as you can see, assigning a percentage on how it is scanning. Yeah, there. Yeah, so back here, all the modules have fully been scanned and all the error codes registered. So I'll just take you through them one by one, every module, to better understand how it's done and pinpoint what's offending the system. So we'll begin by the engine control module. It has identified 13 faults. So we'll just tap onto that and wait for it to do its thing. Of course, it will bring you some pop-up to confirm whether it is the correct ECU number and all that for the Mac and that. Yeah, VW, blah, blah, blah. So, okay to that. And then what you need to do is you need to read diagnostic trouble codes, that is DTC. So number one here, we can find rough road engine spec, ABS, ECU. This has to do with ABS control module. Its socket had been unplugged as well, error in circuit, so a bit of wiring fiddling in there. And then we have the intake air temperature sensor. This is a sensor that is responsible for measuring the temperature of the air that gets through the inlet manifold. And then we have the turbocharger recirculation valve. There is a small valve on the turbocharger hose pipes that is responsible to diverting back the unused boost into the system. So like when you floor the car and then you lift off the throttle, the boost that had been generated by the turbo needs to go somewhere, and since there is nowhere it can go, some people install a blow-off valve. The way some people hear a Subaru releasing some funny sounds from the turbo splatter, and the turbo valve, the vroot, vroot, that sound is what we now get around it by the turbocharger recirculation valve. So open circuit means it's not connected, it's open. So emissions control system, evaporation emissions, purge flow, we have a purge valve that is responsible for recirculating the should I say air or just the vapor that has come through the system, and then there is a canister that filters all the petrol smell and then recirculates back the vacuum into the intake manifold. into the intake manifold. And then we have the power supply terminal 30. This is low battery, or when a battery has been disconnected. And then we have clutch pedal switch implausible signal, a fault in the clutch pedal switch, mass or volume airflow low input. The socket was also unplugged, the mass airflow sensor, and then had been returned partially, not fully into it. Throttle drive angle sensor, the sensor onto the throttle body, as well as the throttle valve control unit adaptation, they had been undone. Then the engine control module disabled. All the electrics, that the socket connecting to the ECU had been disconnected as well. And then the malfunction in the cooling system, the coolant temperature sensor had also been plugged out. And these are the things that were offending the ECU. So what to do is, now that we know they have been corrected and everything is right, we can just as well go ahead and scroll back, and then we come to erase fault code, clear fault code here. Are we sure? Of course we are. And then we wait for it to do these things. Fault code clear DTC, yes. And then it's happening. We only have one remaining, intake air temperature sensor. And this one has to do with the sensor itself. We have tested the sensor with a multimeter, and we can't find any continuity to the sensor, so that particular sensor is dead. So that one needs replacing. So for that matter, after clearing that, we can just do a little test here and find out whether the problem is still on or it has gone. So if we quickly start the car, yeah, you can see everything checks out, only the handbrake light is on. So that is it with the engine control system. We have cleared that, we have made sure everything is right, nothing to be fixed. We'll move into the next module. Yeah, we've gone back. Second module, we're going to look at the air conditioning system, air conditioning module. It has 6 faults. The AC is not working on this car, a few faults. The motor is not working. There is no gas into the system. Some sensors are also not working. So okay to that. Read fault code. Yeah, center outlet temperature sensor. We normally have a center temperature sensor behind these vents here that normally monitors the inside temperature when you have the AC on automatic mode. So when it needs cooling or when it needs to heat, that sensor will sense the temperature inside. So AC pressure switch, that one is also had also been disconnected from the AC condenser. Then footwell defroster flap, that one is a flap that opens air conditioning just under the dashboard for air conditioning on your feet. And then we have the temperature flap motor that is behind the glove box, which is also faulty. And then the diagnostic interface for it. This was now this module here has self-diagnosis for the AC. It was also disconnected at some point when the interior was being worked on. Yeah, so those are the things you can also correct. If you correct them, you just have to come back here and then you clear the fault code, and all of them will go away if they have already been looked at and corrected. So if not, the ones that are still offending will still come back, like the temperature sensor and flap positioning for the motor is still faulty. So we can leave that at that and then move back once more to another module. We just give it a minute to let it do its thing. Taking a bit longer to just undo all the information it had loaded on that. So next we'll get onto the dashboard. This toolkit has the ability to diagonise things that are just behind the dashboard and all that. That means on the clock and everything. So you get into that. Okay, It confirms with the part number, ECU compatibility and all that. Read fault code. We had 2 fault codes there. So outside temperature sensor is the temperature sensor that tells you the outside temperature on your dashboard in here. So you can see we have dashes here, dash degrees Celsius, so that outside temperature sensor is not working. And then rear seat memory control. The rear seats for this car are electric. You can move them back and forth, but then the memory function of it that you could set to first memory, second memory, depending on your customization, is faulty, so there's no communication to that. So you can as well clear that, or just go back to the other module. Moving back, we'll let it do its thing again. Yeah, so this is what happens. You just get into the module, read what is there, fix what is highlighted, and then erase the error codes. Or if you just do a complete swap of, let's say, the sensors, when you plug them back and then switch the car off and on again, everything will go back to normal. So we'll get into the gateway module here. 2 faults. Let's see what is offending the gateway module. Yeah, give it a minute. Yeah, okay, we know that. Directly into read DTC. Yeah, so we have rear seat memory that we had it on the previous module as well, and then the digital sound system control. So here is an aftermarket stereo fitted on this car. So this car had its own stereo taken out and this one fixed, so this is why we have this error. So if you don't want this error to appear, you can have it coded out and make the car forget that it had that sort of thing. Back again. Yeah, we've done dashboard, we've done gateway. Now central comfort module. This holds all the electronics inside the car, the windows, the doors, the switches, interior lightings, all that. So let's have it do its thing again. Then we can read DTC. Yeah, we can see combination comfort database in single wire mode, things to do with short circuiting. Alarm horn. These cars have their alarm connected to the horn, so it honks the horn rather than having the traditional chip alarm system. So that was disconnected. Interior monitoring sensors. If you happen to be locked inside the car and then it senses motion or indifference in temperature, or if you break into the car, then it will sound the alarm. So what is responsible for that is the interior monitoring sensor for that. Motor for the windows, that is the window winders, and then the lock unit for left rear door. If central locking is not working on one door, like for that rear one or the right one, and then that comes up recorded on the central module comfort system. Yeah, so you can go back there and clear the faults, and then all that are permanent will stay there until you fix, but all that were intermittent. Some of them are just due to a low voltage or battery disconnection, and then you can see all of them have gone. So all that is cleared. Do we have any other one pending? Going back. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe and click on the bell icon to make sure that everything we do and post, you are updated in good time. So central comfort module is still remaining with just one, of which I am convinced it is the rear left door central locking. The actuator is faulty. And then for those that are remaining, if you can just want to clear them at once, if you have these fault codes here highlighted, you can just come down here and clear. And that, my people, is how a full system scan is done, is how a full system, all modules diagnosis is done. So if you need your car to have everything checked out, if you need your car to have all the electronics working well, you always need to do that when you have an error popping up. So that was it for the episode today. Thank you very much for being here. Catch you on the next episode when we will be talking about some other different things. Thank you very much. Cheers.